So, hello and welcome to another astrology video. This time I'm gonna talk about something that I wanted to talk about for a long time, but I haven't gotten to it, which is a quick hack into how to see compatibility between two people. It's obviously not the only thing that you have to check in terms of compatibility, but it's a really quick way to see right off the bat if there is, most likely you have some basic compatibility with someone or you don't have it. And before I get into it, as usual, please, if you want any kind of personal consultation, write me at the email I will write in the description. And if you want to get, a free sidereal chart, please follow the instructions that I will write in the description for this video. Thank you. So let's start with the moon. So a little bit of introduction on the moon. From the Vedic perspective, the moon sign is actually the single most important, actually not just the moon sign, but the moon placement in a chart is the single most important astrological aspect in a natal chart. So unlike tropical astrology, if you are familiar with it, tropical astrology really places most of its emphasis on the sun. This is why everybody knows their zodiac sign and they're like, oh, I'm a Cancer, I'm an Aries, I'm a Leo, whatever. And those signs that everybody knows are actually the sun sign, okay? Because the tropical zodiac is actually based on the cycle of the seasons, whereas sidereal zodiac is based on constellations in the sky. So it's a totally different system, which is also why you will not have the same sun or any kind of planetary placement in the sidereal zodiac versus the tropical zodiac. The sidereal zodiac is approximately 23 degrees behind the tropical zodiac. So if you're born in, you think your sun is in, let's say, Aries, and your sun is actually in 20 degrees Aries, you're actually a Pisces in sidereal zodiac. So this is just a quick background, quick parenthesis, but about the moon sign, so in Vedic astrology, the moon sign is the single most important aspect in a chart, followed by ascendant, and then thirdly followed by the sun and the rest of the planets, right? But the moon sign represents the basic personality. It represents your mind, your emotions, your emotional needs, what you need to feel at home. So evidently it is very, very important in synastry, particularly, for a woman, because women really identify with their moon sign. But it's actually, it's just as important for men. It's just that men may not be so in tune with their emotional needs, but they still have them. So what is the single most important thing? There is something called, the Vedic astrologers place a lot of importance on the distance between the man's moon and the woman's moon. Ideally, you want there to be no more than 4 signs between the man's moon placement and the woman's moon placement. So if the man's moon is, let's say, in 0 degrees Aries, ideally the woman's moon would have to be somewhere in Cancer at the very farthest, in order for a relationship to be good, healthy, long-lasting. And I'll explain later, but another thing that I wanted to say is, technically speaking, anything below 6 signs, so how a circle is divided into, a circle is 360 degrees, and the sign of your opposition is 180 degrees apart. So if you have your moon in 0 degree Aries, the moon sign that is exactly opposite your moon sign would be 0 degree Libra. Now, if you're a man, you want a woman who has her moon before 0 degree Libra in order to have a harmonious relationship. So up until the 29th degree of Virgo, it would still work, technically speaking. But ideally, you want it to be before, let's say, let me think. So it's like Aries, Taurus, Gemini, Cancer. So ideally, you want it to be before 0-degree Leo to have a really harmonious relationship. Now, why? And it's not the same thing if the woman's moon is like in, let's say, 2 degrees Libra. It already means that the distance from your moon to her moon is shorter than the distance from her moon to your moon. Because if you go around the circle, it is faster to get from 2-degree Libra to 0-degree Aries than it is to get from 0-degree Aries to 2-degree Libra, right? The distance from 0-degree Aries to 2-degree Libra is about 182 degrees, right? The distance from the other way around, right, from Libra 2 degrees to Aries 0 degrees is, what is it, like 158, right? Something like that. No, not 158. Okay, math is troubling me at this hour. It's 178, right? Yeah, so basically the distance is longer from 0-degree Aries to 2-degree Libra, as an example. So why is this important, right? Now, the theory is that the moon, because it represents emotional needs, and because emotions in general are way more important to women, the theory is that if a man's moon is too far away, if a man's moon, the distance from a man's moon to a woman's moon is shorter than 4 degrees, it means that he will be able to understand the woman intuitively. He will be able to anticipate her needs emotionally. And it will be much easier for the woman to feel fulfilled in a relationship, because the man will be more than willing to meet her halfway, or actually, before halfway, because it's like, ideally it has to be less than 180 degrees, 180 degrees, that would be halfway. But literally what it means is that the man is anticipating her needs, and his initiatives in the relationship will be welcomed, as opposed to when the distance from her moon to his moon is shorter. That will basically mean that she is frustrated because she's the one taking all the initiatives in the relationship, and the man is not really able to understand her on an emotional level, he may not be able to understand, the difference is if she's upset about something and his moon is 1 degree, not 1 degree, but 1 sign behind her moon sign, he will be able to be like, oh honey, what happened, did something happen at work, or he will kind of sense that something is wrong, he will make her a sandwich, or he will bring her some tea, or he will know what to do to make her feel better. But if the guy's moon is way, way far away from her moon, he will be blind, he will not understand what is happening. And this is really funny when I first found this out, because it explains so much in relationships, and I've seen it so often that, in happy relationships, you really see this rule being respected, that the distance from the man's moon to the woman's moon is within 4 degrees length. And you have this kind of dynamic where the woman is happy because the man is proactive and anticipates her needs and is involved in the relationship. He will be the one who's where do you want to eat today? Or let's go to this restaurant, let's do this, let's go to this holiday, let's, he will come up with ideas. But if it's the distance from the woman's moon to the man's moon is shorter than the other way around, it will almost sometimes feel like a parent, like a mother-son kind of dynamic, because she will be the one who has to feel like she has to put in all the work. She has to be the one who is taking the initiative in the relationship. And generally now, in today's world, some women are super okay with that. But the vast majority, I would say probably 90% or more of women, are still not okay with that. Women want men who will put in the effort, who will take the initiative, who will be, proactive and involved and show like that they are committed to them and the relationship. And this is like really the single most important thing. And another aspect, actually, there are several things to look at when it comes to the moon, and it is so rich in offering insight. But this is like the single most important aspect. You have to look at the distance between the man's moon and the woman's moon. Just one quick example. For instance, in Brad Pitt, Jennifer Aniston's relationship, her moon was like at the beginning of Sagittarius, because she's still alive. Her moon is at the beginning of Sagittarius, his moon was at the end of Sagittarius. So the distance from her moon to his moon was way shorter, less than a sign's span, less than 30 degrees, versus the distance from his moon to her moon, which was like 150 something degrees. And in that dynamic, it's like, now I don't know what the real reason was why they separated and all that, but it kind of gives me a sense that what happened there was that Aniston was the one wearing the pants in that relationship. She was the one maybe mothering him. She was the one who maybe was too understanding, and she was putting in most of the effort to keep that relationship going, and he was not really fulfilling her emotional needs. Now, on the other hand, if you look at his relationship with Angelina Jolie, his moon was in Sagittarius, her moon is in Pisces. So there you have the rule of less than 4 signs apart, right? And he was probably more passionate. And it could be that he felt mothered in the relationship with Aniston versus being able to actually feel like a man in the relationship with Angelina Jolie. Because that kind of a relationship probably made him feel like, okay, this is a relationship with a woman who will let me be the man and who will actually accept my initiatives, the right way. And, obviously it doesn't, this in itself is not a deal breaker by any stretch of the imagination. But it's really funny because you will see this in a lot of relationships. I've actually seen this in relationships that I have analyzed where the woman was complaining, my boyfriend, he's a good guy, but, he never takes the initiative. I'm always the one who has to come up with the ideas of where we're going to spend the next holiday, where we're going to go out to eat. If I have an argument with a friend or somebody, he doesn't jump in and take my side and stuff like that. And that's when I looked at their relationship, the distance from her moon to his moon was 2 signs, so she was the one who was going at him. She was the one who was anticipating his needs. And one of the reasons why you don't really want this to begin with is because women in general are way more emotional and way more sensitive to begin with. And so they really need a guy who is, and men are less intuitive than women, and so men in general are pretty blind when it comes to understanding women and their needs. So it really helps if a guy's moon is close to the woman's moon, because it means that he has this advantage with regards to other guys, when it comes to having a relationship with this woman, because he can anticipate her needs, right? So you can find plenty of examples about this. I haven't particularly looked for any, but I do remember some. And this is the first thing that you have to look at. The second thing you want to look at, which is, again, none of these are deal breakers, but they help to give you an overall feel of, are you going to get along with someone or not? Because emotional compatibility is extremely important in a relationship. And the second thing that is important is to check the ruler of the moon. There are, obviously, as you may have heard, maybe not, if you haven't, you're going to hear it now. So, in astrology, every planet has enemy planets and friend planets, right? And some planets which are neutral, which are not that good, but not bad, they're kind of lukewarm. So one thing they can do, you can check it very quickly if the moon sign's planetary ruler is in a friendly sign, in a neutral sign, or an enemy sign, to see if you are compatible with somebody. This is, again, a really general thing because you have to look at yet another thing, which I'm going to mention next. But this in itself will really help you to rule out people that you are really not going to be compatible with. For example, if you take Moon in Taurus, Taurus is ruled by Venus. Venus, if you look at, and you can find this online, I will maybe link it in the description. So Venus has two friend planets, Mercury and Saturn. It is neutral towards Mars and Jupiter, and it is an enemy sign to Sun and Moon. So you can see here right off the bat that if you check, so if you have like Moon in Cancer, if you have Moon in Taurus, you will not be particularly compatible with Moon in Cancer. Why? Because Venus and Moon are enemy signs, and Taurus is ruled by Venus, and Cancer is ruled by the Moon. So these are enemy signs. But this is, again, this is general because you have to look at yet another thing which goes more in depth and is actually just as important, if not even more important. Another example here. Like, let's look at, Moon in Aries, right? Moon in Aries is ruled by Mars. The Moon is ruled by Mars, right? For Mars, the friendly planets are Sun, Moon, and Jupiter. So you know right off the bat that somebody with Moon in Aries will be generally compatible with somebody who has Moon in Leo, Moon in Cancer, Moon in Sagittarius or Pisces. And a lot of this is actually counterintuitive if you have learned the the tropical or Western system. Because in the tropical or Western system, for instance, they will tell you right off the bat, Moon in Aries with let's say Moon in Cancer, right? They form a square and they're not compatible. Well, in Vedic astrology, they're actually pretty compatible because Mars and Moon are friends. So, and there's no such thing as square also in Vedic astrology. So actually Moon in Aries is compatible with Moon in Cancer, technically speaking, until you go to more in-depth judgments, right? Another example, let's say the Sun, right? So Moon in Leo. Moon in Leo is ruled by the Sun, which has the Sun's mortal enemy. The mortal enemy is Saturn, and the next to mortal enemy is Venus. So Moon in Leo, right off the bat, are not going to be really compatible with Moon in Capricorn, Moon in Aquarius, Moon in Libra, and Moon in Taurus, right? Because these are ruled by enemy planets. So you can go on in this. Like, there are tables online where you can check, like, which are the enemy planets and which are the friend planets, and then there are neutral planets as well. Now, ideally, for good compatibility, you want to be with somebody who has their moon in a friend sign. Neutral is, well, it's kind of lukewarm, it's not great harmony or whatever, but it can still work, right? But ideally, you want to be with somebody who has, like, their moon in a friend sign to have, like, a really smooth interaction. And obviously with enemy signs, those are a bit tricky, right? They're a bit tricky. Like, obviously, again, I will mention this, nothing is a deal breaker. It really depends on the whole picture, and it depends ultimately on how diplomatic and wise the people in the relationship are to make it work. And also how much astrology they know. And the third and final thing, which I'm going to mention, but I'm not going to get into... No, sorry, it's not the final thing. This is the third one that I'm going to mention, but I'm not going to get into in depth right now because it's going to take too much time, and I'm going to start talking about it at some point. I'm going to have to start a new series. It's the Nakshatra. Now, I don't know how much you have heard about it. Nakshatra is a typically Vedic concept, and to be honest with you, it is the single concept that has determined me to actually focus on Vedic astrology to the detriment of Western astrology. Because once you get into Nakshatras, or Lunar Mansions, as they are sometimes referred to, you will see how deeply flawed the tropical system is, and how much more insightful and accurate the Vedic or Jyotish system of interpretation is. Nakshatras are like in the number of 27, and they basically overlap with the signs. And if I remember correctly, I actually read an article that said initially when it started developing, when, Vedic astrology started developing, like, I don't know exactly, 3000 BC, the lunar mansions were like the first sign system. So they didn't have like the 12 signs like we have in Western tropical astrology and like they used later on in Vedic astrology, but they had nakshatras, which are like divisions of about 13 degrees, which overlap with the zodiac signs. They're kind of similar to the idea of like decanates and duads, if you maybe read a tropical astrology. But in tropical astrology, it's way more narrow-minded. Like, every sign is divided, and it's much more predictable and not that useful, because they divide every sign into like 3 fixed subdivisions, and each subdivision is sub-ruled by another planet. So like if you have, let's say, Aries, let's say the first decan is like the first 10 degrees of Aries, and it's sub-ruled by Mars, and then the second decan is the next 10 degrees, between 10 and 20 degrees Aries, and it's ruled by the Sun, and the last decan is ruled by Jupiter. And somehow the logic behind this is because, Aries is a fire sign, and so it is divided into 3 subdivisions, which are co-ruled by the other fire planets, which are Sun and Jupiter, respectively. But in Nakshatras, it is way more intense, okay? It is way more accurate. And there are archetypes, and there are legends, and there are so many things. And the one thing that I will mention is, like, Nakshatras, first of all, they divide into 3 main modes of operation. Remember, if you have known from tropical astrology, the signs divide into cardinal, fixed, and mutable. Well, kind of like that, modes of operations in nakshatras are Rakshasa, which are demon nakshatras, Manusha, which are human nakshatras, and Deva, or godly nakshatras. And this in itself already, and this is what I'm going to mention about this, and then I'm going to wrap it up with nakshatras, because it's not worth getting into. In order to actually determine your nakshatra, it's pretty easy. You just look at every planet has a nakshatra, just like every planet has a sign, but the single most important nakshatra is your moon nakshatra. And of course the second is the lagna, or the ascendant nakshatra, and then the third is the sun nakshatra. But the one that you want to look at the most importantly is the moon nakshatra in compatibility. And one first thing that you want to look at is whether you and your partner are like Deva, Manusha, or Rakshasa. And the theory is, like, for instance, Rakshasa is the harshest, most, it's not necessarily that they're evil, but they're most ruthless, materialistic nakshatras. And so the theory is, for instance, a woman who has her moon in a Rakshasa nakshatra cannot get along well with a man who has his moon in the Manusha or Deva, especially not a Deva nakshatra, because these men are basically, for lack of a better word, too soft for these women. So the theory is the woman's, so it goes like this, right? From the bottom up, it goes Rakshasa, Manusha, and Deva. So Deva are kind of seen as like the softest and most spiritually inclined nakshatras. And the theory is the woman's nakshatra always has to be ideally above the man's. Ideally, they actually have to both be the same type of nakshatra. So they both have to be either demons, either gods, or either humans, right? And human are kind of like somewhere in between. They're not particularly evil or ruthless, but they're also not particularly spiritually inclined, right? So if a man is Manusya, he can get along well with a woman who is Manusya like him or Deva. If a woman is Deva, she can get along well with a man who, like, you know, pretty much just like the man. She can get along well with a man who is one step below her or the same level. But if a woman is Rakshasa, the theory is that she can only get along with somebody from her own caste, like from another demon nakshatra, because the theory is, of course, there are exceptions, and all of these systems were built on, you know, obviously, let's say, somewhat chauvinistic systems that said, you know, women should not be driven and ambitious, because a lot of the times women with Rakshasa moons are very driven and very ambitious and very materialistic, and they're generally very strong. And because of that, they will tend to hurt, that's the theory, they will tend to hurt the feelings of a man who is like Manusya or Deva. But of course, in reality, you will see exceptions to this, like it's not so tough anymore. This is just the theory that, you know, you will get along best with somebody from your caste, right? Now, if a man is Deva, for instance, he will get along best with a woman who is Deva. Because if he steps below, it's actually not seen as good. Because it's kind of like seen, again, kind of rooted in spirituality and the whole idea that, you know, women have to be the softer ones in a relationship. And so if a woman is like Manusya or Rakshasa, the woman is going to be tougher than a man who is Deva. So the theory is, like, if you're a Deva man, you ideally want to get along with a woman who is from your same caste, who is also spiritual and soft and gentle. And yeah, because otherwise, if you take like a a lower caste woman, a caste, of course, doesn't refer to you know, the actual Indian society castes, but this is a form of caste system, pretty much, like astrologically speaking. It refers to the level of spiritual evolution or something like that, or basically the way that you express your basic spiritual energy. And you actually see this in charts as another parenthesis. Like you see this where, you know, people have a predominance of Rakshasa energy in their chart. Like most of their planets are in Rakshasa Nakshatras. They will tend to be ambitious, ruthless, materialistic. You know, not so much. Some are more ruthless than others. It depends on the nakshatra. But they will definitely be ambitious and materialistic. And especially for a woman, it's not seen as a good thing. But I will get more into that in other videos. Right, so this was the third aspect that you want to look at. You want to look at what kind of nakshatra you have. Like, I won't get into more detail because I don't have enough time. But there are things you can look for online. And I will post some, like, links in the description where you can find your nakshatra. If you find out exactly in which degree your moon placement is, you can see what nakshatra you're in. And then you can Google more information about that nakshatra, what kind of, you know, mode of operation it is, whether it's a Rakshasa or Gana or, sorry, not Gana, did I say Gana? Yeah, these things, they're not modes of operation, they're called gunas, I think, gunas. Now, if there are Indian people out there, please correct me. Yeah, so they're called gunas. So you're either Rakshasa, Manusya, or Deva. Okay, now the fourth and the most important, and the one that I'm going to spend more time on and have examples about. There is this concept in Vedic astrology of something called magnetic attraction, which is very interesting. Now, the theory is that, especially based on the moon sign, again, but this can also be applied to, like, other planets in your chart. But based on the moon sign, there will be signs that have a magnetic attraction towards other signs. And again, just like in that theory with the man's moon has to be closer to the woman's moon, in this theory, it's best, ideally, I mean, according to traditional texts, to have the man be the one who is magnetically attracted, quote-unquote, to the woman in question. Because, again, the theory is that, you know, women are more emotional or more sentimental, and they will be more emotionally attracted they tend to be more emotionally involved in a relationship than men to begin with. So it's definitely a plus in a long-term relationship if a guy has this magnetic attraction towards the woman, because he will be motivated to stay in that relationship. And I'm just going to quickly go through the list, but again, you can find this list online. So it's called Magnetic Attraction or Vasya placements. So if you are an Aries moon, Leo and Scorpio moon are magnetically attracted to you. If you are a Taurus moon, Cancer and Libra moon are magnetically attracted. If you are a Gemini moon, Virgo moon is magnetically attracted to you. If you are a Cancer moon, Scorpio and Sagittarius moon are magnetically attracted. If you are a Leo moon, Libra moon is magnetically attracted. If you're a Virgo moon, Pisces and Gemini moon are magnetically attracted to you. If you are a Libra moon, Capricorn and Virgo moon are magnetically attracted to you. If you are a Scorpio moon, Cancer moon is magnetically attracted to you. If you are a Sagittarius moon, Pisces moon is magnetically attracted to you. If you are a Capricorn moon, Aries and Aquarius moon are magnetically attracted. If you are an Aquarius moon, Aries moon is magnetically attracted to you. If you are a Pisces moon, Capricorn moon is magnetically attracted to you. Okay, short breath. And I have quite a few examples. I'm pretty sure I've already forgot some of them. Yeah, I should have made a list. One of the, let me give you an example. So, Marilyn Manson. Let's take Marilyn Manson, for instance. I don't know why I just started listening to his music all over again, I don't know, rediscovering or whatever. I'm just going to use him as an example. I know it maybe sounds like a weird example, but yeah, he has his moon in Cancer. And you see here from the list, Cancer is magnetically attracted to Taurus moon. Actually check the chart of Dita Fontis, his long-term flame and ex-wife, and lo and behold, she has moon in Taurus. Now, it's really funny here because the first condition of the moon attraction does not apply to them, and they did eventually divorce, so I don't know what was, maybe that had something to do with it, meaning, what is the first condition? That the distance from the man's moon to the woman's moon is shorter than the distance from the woman's moon to the man's moon. So in this case, if you go around the astrological circle, Cancer comes after Taurus, right? And her moon is in Taurus, his moon is in Cancer. So the distance from her moon to her moon gets faster to his moon than the other way around. And so maybe in this relationship, and actually even when you looked at their relationship and their dynamic, maybe she was a bit of a mommy figure on some level. Maybe not necessarily a mommy figure. It's not necessarily that the woman will be a mommy figure in these kinds of dynamics, but she might end up feeling that way because she will feel like she's the one taking care of the man instead of the other way around. However, they still had the magnetic attraction and he was probably very much in love with her. Obviously she was also his aesthetic ideal and his muse and whatever. They appeared in videos together. Yeah, this is one example. Another example is, let's see, Catherine Zeta-Jones and Michael Douglas. So, Michael Douglas has his moon in Sagittarius. Again, side note, this is sidereal zodiac. Please do not Google their moons and be like, oh, but his moon is in Capricorn. I'm using sidereal zodiac. Just another quick reminder. So his moon is in Sagittarius. Her moon is Pisces. According to the magnetic attraction table, let's see. Yeah, Pisces moon is magnetically attracted to Sagittarius moon. So in this case, she was the one who was magnetically attracted to him. But however, they already have a lot of, I think I've spoken about their composite. They also have moon Mars conjunction, her Mars is conjunct his moon, and they have a lot of compatibility aspects to begin with. But yeah, just looking at this, and I remember reading an article someplace where she said, speaking about their age difference and how they ended up together, that she was actually watching his films when she was a young girl, and thinking to herself, like, this is the ideal man. And it's really funny. So it's like she was idealizing him, and she probably felt drawn to his energy from the beginning, and she was crazy about him. And then when he made his first move and liked her, she was like, yay, you know? It was like they clicked from the first time they saw each other. Let's see. Another example... Paul Newman, let's see, I remember I saw something. So Paul Newman, his moon is in Aquarius. His wife, his very long-term wife, her moon is also, wait, no, did I say Aquarius? Wait. Oh yeah, this is not about a magnetic attraction, this is just about Nakshatra. So his moon is in Aquarius. His long-term wife, Joanne Woodward, also has her moon in Aquarius, but her moon is in, let me think. Oh, this is actually a counterexample, really interesting. Well, to be fair, their moons are so close to each other that it might be that there is an error. Actually, his time of birth is, oh yeah, his time of birth is known. So, yeah, this is actually kind of a counterexample because her moon is at the beginning of Aquarius, I think 2 degrees Aquarius, and his moon must be somewhere at around, like, 10 degrees Aquarius. So, in any case, the distance from her moon to his moon is actually very short. But they do have a lot of compatibility aspects. Not least of which is the fact that they actually have moon conjunct moon, which is a very good aspect to have in synastry. But yeah, it's really funny. So basically, here you have the counterexample where the distance from her moon to his moon is very short, and she's like basically the one who was more proactive in the relationship. But I guess it kind of shows you that it really depends on the man. It depends on the culture. Like some men, they actually like a woman who is, you know, taking the initiative or is maybe even a little bit maternal and nurturing and all that. But women generally don't. Like, I've seen this, you know, aspect in so many relationships where the woman was frustrated because she was, like, the one, you know, wearing the pants, or, like... But, again, you have to look at the overall compatibility. Let's see, do I have any other examples? I do remember checking other examples. Another example that I do remember, but I don't have their charts anymore. Because, like, I can't find them. I can't find the chart. Where is it? What is this? Oh, yeah. Okay. Jada Pinkett and Will Smith. So they have been married since the dinosaur age. And they have, let me see. So her moon is in Leo. His moon is in Libra. Damn. Right. So his moon is in Libra, her moon is in Leo. Wow. This means that, again, the distance from her moon to his moon is only 2 signs apart. And not only that, but they actually have to wait. Yeah, they are in enemy signs because her moon is ruled by the... But you have to look at the Nakshatra as well. You have to look at the Nakshatra ruler and all that. I will get into detail at some point into Nakshatras. There's no point in getting into more detail now because I have to prepare the field for that with more information on Nakshatras. But yeah. Here you have this dynamic where she is, you know, she's the one pulling most of the weight in the relationship. And to be fair, now, this is my personal opinion, but when I see these two together and when I've seen them, like, on interviews and things, that was always kind of my impression, to be honest. It was my impression that she was the one holding the reins of the relationship, and she was the one, you know, calling the shots and, like, being strong and being... You know, and I actually read interviews with Will Smith where he said, you know, he likes that. He likes a strong woman. Like, whatever. And I think this kind of plays into that dynamic. I don't know how Jada feels about this, but since they've been together since forever, it could be that she's perfectly okay with it. Maybe she is one of those control freak women who likes to make all the decisions. So yeah, but looking at them, they always kind of had this vibe of like, she was the one, I don't want to say being mommy, but, kind of being the one in charge almost in their romantic relationship. Okay, what other aspects? Do I have anything else? Actually, nope. No, so I don't have anything. So this was it. These were the examples that I found, but I'm sure you can find plenty. Like, really plenty. Oh, yeah, another example. Again, Angelina Jolie and Brad Pitt. You're so fed up with them, I know. Like, Angelina Jolie and Brad Pitt, they also have the same aspect that Catherine Zeta and Michael Douglas have, meaning that her moon is in Pisces, his moon is in Sagittarius. So they have this chemistry of, like, she is magnetically attracted to him. And, yeah, I remember there was, again, an interview with her where she was obviously heavily criticized because it was after the breakup between Aniston and Brad Pitt, but there was this interview where she said, yes, when I found out that he was going to be in the film, I really wanted to meet him. So, like, I don't know, you can interpret that however you want, but it's definitely a sign that she liked him way before they actually met. So, this is going to be the end of the video. This was a really long video. Thank you for hanging in there if you made it to the end. And please don't forget to like and subscribe. And if you want to hear any more videos from me, if you have any particular requests of aspects that you want to read about, please let me know in the comments. And thank you for your attention. Have a nice day.